don't think there's a day go by, almost not a lesson that goes by where the player coming in at some point in the lesson talks about needing more lag to compress the ball more. Something we hear quite often. We're gonna show you not only how to create lag properly, but also how to use it more in downswing, which is probably more important.
Right, so at address, we've got some built in already because not many people set up like this.
In a dead straight line, okay?
Yeah, so at your belt buckle, that'll give you this offset angle here.
The average is right around 135 degrees of angle right there.
So you've already got some lag angle built in.
Yeah, this would be 0, we're about 135.
Exactly. So as you go back, start shifting weight and getting the club to swing, the club will go back, continue to set, it'll kind of max out set kind of right here in transition. You'll get a little bit of load in the wrist. That would be your maximum lag angle.
There's a window there of kind of the progression of that. It's going to roughly be around 135-ish, 140-ish right here at setup. It's about 95 to 100 at the top. If I keep my left wrist flat and lag it, that's not quite 90 degrees with it flat. Now, I can bend my wrist and go way more, which we don't want to do.
Right.
So you want to think about creating this lag with a fairly flat left wrist. Right around, and there's some dynamic movement, so there's a little
Exactly, we change direction.
somewhere around 95-ish degrees. And some players are going to do that earlier than others, and some players are going to kind of delay it. What we see from our amateur golfers is when they delay it, they'll set it with the elbow, which is not the correct way to do it.
Yeah, so they'll say, oh, I want to get a lot of width early.
Right.
They don't have this kind of dynamic kind of setting motion as they go to the top. They'll do no set. And instead of setting the wrist, they'll bend their arms this way.
Yep.
It actually it uncocks the wrist even worse, and then there's literally no lag then.
In an effort to try to create width, they actually rob themselves of lag, right? This lag angle that we're talking about, and really put themselves behind the 8 ball with how the arm moves.
Exactly.
Okay, so it's a gradual set. Gain roughly, what's 95 from 135? 40 degrees? Ish. That's your setting 40 degrees-ish from basically address to the top of the swing of lag angle. So from the top, you're roughly around 95 degrees of that lag angle, okay?
Right.
From there to left arm parallel, what happens?
So you might load a little, a lot of guys stay the same, but right to there, it's pretty much what it was at the top, might be a little bit less.
We see a lot of golfers will try to manually increase that by narrowing and doing something with the wrist to crease that. And again, it usually just causes the club to cup a lot and open the face.
Exactly, and they also overbend the elbows.
Yep.
That gets the left wrist cupped, like you said, they lose the club face.
Because there's a little momentum involved, right? The club's swinging back towards the target as the arms are kind of starting down, and it should keep the club head behind my head a little bit. That's what allows, in some players, that angle to increase a little bit. But for practical purposes, it's roughly the same angle here as it is at the top.
That's a good way to think about it.
Okay.
So I think this is where a lot of the confusion starts. You're looking at two major champions, both here at left arm parallel in their downswings. These guys are on TV a lot. And when the telecast shows a replay of the golfer here in yellow, broadcasters will inevitably say this player has the most lag in golf. And that's usually followed up by something like, if you folks at home want to hit it farther, increase your lag like this guy. And the confusion happens because none of those comments are really true. Sure, from this angle, the player in yellow looks like he's got a ton of lag, certainly more than the player in blue. But once we turn on the angles, you can see there's less than a degree of difference between them. And why these angles look so different here from this view is just really an illustration of how the camera can lie. If we rotate these guys to the down the line view, notice how much flatter the yellow player is compared to blue. That's why he looks, I can't stress that enough, looks like he has more lag even though he doesn't. So the flatter the club, the more of the illusion you'll get for lag. And that's just all it is really. It's just the illusion of more lag.
Yeah, so your left arm parallel, you've got your wrist set, your right elbow hasn't narrowed. It's pretty much stayed where it was at the top too.
Fairly flat left wrist, everything's good.
Yeah, you're in a good spot. From here, you can either go way off the rails or hit a good shot. Yeah, so from there, you've got to get the club head below the hands and let that angle out.
Say that one more time.
You've got to get the club head below the hands and let the angle out.
Okay, so if I'm thinking back to the beginning of this video, you went from roughly 135 to 95, so you added about 40 degrees of flex. In the downswing, right, the last third of the downswing, left arm parallel to impact, you have to get rid of 50 to 60 degrees of this angle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hard concept for you guys to understand. That's not a cast.
It's not a cast, because at the
That's
same
releasing
time,
the club.
Well, at the same time you're moving and shifting and turning. You have to be letting that out, because at impact, good players have their hands slightly higher than they did at address. So that angle is actually out a little bit more.
Yes, from here to impact is 0.08 seconds.
That's fast. Try it on your
So this is not a hold, release it here. You've got to get it out pretty gradually all the way down. So by the time you get to here, you have 60 degrees less angle, 50 to 60 degrees less than you have right here.
Right, and I think people get confused, like, okay, but this will help clear it up. If I did nothing with my body from here, this is to impact. Like if I
That's what the arms do.
That's what the arms and wrists do. Now, if I add the body movement to that, that puts me in a perfect impact. So you have to let that out. We've talked about shooting the BB. Imagine the BB's in the shaft. Shoot that out. You'll still have a little bit of shaft lean because of the body movement, but that's how you go from lag to unloading that lag.
So here's the kicker. Lag angle is not shaft lean.
Take that in your head for a second.
Often you'll hear lag used to describe both of these angles. The problem with that is these two angles are not the same. We've had too many golfers tell us that this simple fact alone has caused them years of frustration from trying to adopt movements as if these two angles were the same. Hopefully that'll start to change. We call the angle between your lead arm and the shaft lag angle, and we call the amount the shaft leans forward at impact shaft lean. You can call them applesauce and spinach. Really doesn't matter, just as long as you understand that these angles are not the same, they're not created the same way, and they're not utilized to produce the same things.
There's over the top, and then there's over the bottom, which I stole from you.
Yeah, so I don't know where I got that from many moons ago, but it makes sense. This is over the top.
Yep.
I can have a pretty good downswing, but if I overhold lag, we call it tipping out. So the club will start to tip outside the hands early. The club really shouldn't get outside the hands till it gets below the hands. If it tips out early because you're trying to get shaft lean by holding lag, all you've done there is bake in a scoop.
Yes.
That makes it worse.
That's why so many of you are struggling to have shaft lean, because of the angles you're trying to hold and create. It's guaranteeing that you won't have shaft lean.
And this is going to be like a mindset shift.
Yes.
Because I know everybody's been taught for so long to drive the elbow forward and take the grip in front of the ball. Only thing that does a lot of times is get you really steep over the bottom and makes the problem worse, because like I showed, the tip out is actually a scoop.
The shaft lean comes from this motion, not this motion. Okay.
It's a huge
Now,
delineation.
if I take that to the top of the swing, that's actually right there.
That's impact.
This would be, if you made a top of backswing like this, now you can hold this angle and create shaft lean, but you're not going to hit it anywhere.
Exactly. So there's your trade-off.
That's right. So you have to get rid of your lag angle in order to create shaft lean.
So we really want to drive this point home to you. You're looking at our pro here at the top, and by any standards, this would be a very normal looking top of the backswing, especially as it relates to this lag angle he's created. He doesn't have the downswing thought of trying to hold this angle, but if he did, this is what the top of his swing would have to look like if he wanted to hold his impact lag from the top. Kind of looks crazy, right? Now what about the other way? What if he tried to hold his lag from the top down to impact? This is what that would look like. You'd miss the ball by about 3 feet. Like, you just can't get the club to the ground if you successfully hold that angle. As crazy as both of these look, we see golfers every week who tell us they've been trying to do one or the other versions of these hold moves. That idea alone makes the downswing brutally difficult, and thank goodness there's an easier way. By pro standards, a very lean shaft with a 7-iron like you're seeing here would be about 12 degrees of shaft lean. That's 2 seconds on a clock face for reference. Now, if you're at the slower end of the scale for club head speed, you'll want to also be at the lower end of the scale for shaft lean, roughly 6 degrees or 1 second on the clock face. The normal range for tour pros is around 8 degrees, so keep that in mind when you're rehearsing what you want to do through impact. It just doesn't take much to have world-class shaft lean.
If I just hold this club with 2 fingers, I can't manipulate this at all, and start it right here, this 90 degrees, and just let it swing, that's a ton of shaft lean, and this has gotten rid of the lag angle, right? I'm just not disrupting it. Now, to train that into your golf swing, you need to be able to feel that. And we got a great little drill for that.
Yeah, I'll do this a lot in lessons just to show people that, you know, I'm letting go of control and I'm using the sequence and the movements to get the lag and the shaft lean at the right time.
This is, we call this our flute drill, but Ben Hogan did something very similar with this, and he had a ton of shaft lean and lag in his golf swing.
Yeah, he would let kind of go with some fingers. So similar, you hold it with 3 fingers of each hand, leave your pinky and your ring finger off. We'll do it all the time. I'll swing it forward, back, and then through again, just holding it here to show them I can't hold any angles. And when I do that, they're usually surprised to see that I can hit it pretty darn good.
Right.
And I have tons of shaft lean, I've got lag, I'm unloading at the right time, and I can't manipulate it. You want to use the weight and momentum of the club along with good sequence to get all the good stuff, the lean and
I'm
the lag.
smiling because when we see guys do this in lessons, and they'll look back, well, first they'll look to watch the replay of the video, and they've, like you said, they've never seen themselves having the shaft that's angled forward or lag up here at this part of the swing. And they can't believe that they did really nothing to create those angles. They didn't hold anything. They just basically got out of their own way, got out of the way of the club.
Yeah, especially if they've been struggling with it their whole life.
Yeah.
Letting some of these angles out feels really freeing. It feels like other sports they played. And if you played baseball, you wouldn't check swing,
No.
right? And that's basically what you're training in.
Yeah, and the progression is just to gradually start to add the fingers and the grip pressure. But the key is creating lag so you can use it here, so you can get rid of it, so you can produce some shaft lean. And it's understanding how this angle allows you to produce this angle that really starts to click turn the light bulb on, really allow you to get lag and shaft lean, because you got to have both of them to play really good golf.
If you want more compression on your iron shots, more tour quality, solid iron shots every time you go out to play, we created a free video just for you. In the pinned comment below, you're gonna find a link. Click on the link, you're gonna be taken to another page, you're gonna enter your name and your email address. Once you do that, you're gonna be taken instantly to the free video training where you're gonna learn our #1 go-to drill to get more compression on your iron shots, which is gonna allow you to hit more greens and have more fun playing the game. If you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give us a like, give us a thumbs up. Also, if you have a question about the video or there's a topic you want us to cover in a future video, leave it down in the comments below. We read every single comment and we respond to them, and that's how we create new content for you in the future. Now, if you haven't already, go ahead and click the subscribe button so you know exactly when one of our new videos comes out.